Ro Khanna just read an Epstein list on the House floor, and he did it for a reason. And that reason is the speech and debate clause, which protects members of Congress from criminal or civil liability for what they say on the House floor. And he did so, in my opinion, because he knows that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi are going to threaten, attack, and try to continue to scare him and Thomas Massie, but it is not going to work. What Ro Khanna just did represents the bravery that he and other members of Congress who were fighting back against this administration have shown throughout the attempts to bring accountability to these criminals and give justice to the survivors. He did it on the House floor for a reason, and it is a reason that Carolyn Leavitt made clear, and what she said right before Ro Khanna went to the floor and read off that list. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss conversations like this.
Call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning. And I'm sure many of you, when you read that alleged FBI report, probably thought to yourself, wow, this really cracks our narrative that we've been trying to push about this president for many years. So we're moving on from that. Reagan.
Is greater than, we're moving on. We're moving on, says Carolyn Leavitt. We're done with that. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want you paying attention to it. But they're not. Donald Trump is connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump is having an ongoing relationship with Jeffrey Epstein for every second that he continues to deny us the full transparency that he signed into law. It is not just that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and everyone at the DOJ have broken the law. They are continuing to break the law by keeping the names of the rich, powerful elites redacted and protected. And that is why Ro Khanna just went to the House floor to read off those names and to call for us to cancel this Epstein class, to kick them out of our government, to remove them from society. It is what we need. It is the leadership that we deserve. And I want to take a look at that full clip.
Congressman Massie and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massie and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massie and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities to become public? And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files. But the story gets worse. The reality is that Donald Trump's FBI scrubbed these files in March, long before Thomas Massie and I passed the Epstein Transparency Act. Now, my bill is clear. The Epstein Transparency Act requires them to unredact those FBI files. And yet the Justice Department said to me and to Congressman Massie, we just uploaded whatever the FBI sent us. And guess what? The FBI sent scrubbed files. That means the survivor's statement to the FBI, naming rich and powerful men who went to Epstein's island, who went to his ranch, who went to his home and raped and abused underage girls or saw underage girls being paraded, they're all hidden. They're all redacted. It's a little bit of a farce. They're inviting all the members of Congress to go to see the Department of Justice, quote-unquote, unredacted files, but they've got all redacted files from the FBI. And it's not the fault of the Justice Department attorneys. They were just told upload things that Donald Trump's FBI had already scrubbed. It's a blatant violation of the Epstein Transparency Act, but it also asks a fundamental question. Who are they protecting? Why are they protecting these rich and powerful men, people I call part of the Epstein class? Why are we in a country where there is no elite accountability for people who do the most heinous things? You have, in England, the king now calling for an investigation and possible prosecution of his own brother. You have in Norway the princess who no longer has support to be the queen. And yet in the United States of America, we have someone in the cabinet, Howard Lutnick, who is all over these Epstein files, who allegedly had business with Epstein after he was convicted of pedophilia, and he still is in the cabinet. We need to ask ourselves, are we in America going to have elite accountability? Are we going to call on rich and powerful people who broke the law or cavorted with a pedophile, a convicted pedophile? Are we going to call them to account? Are we going to have prosecutions for billionaires who went to this island and either raped underage girls or saw underage girls being raped and didn't say anything? Are we going to have investigations? I'll tell you what this is about. It's not just about the 1,200 survivors. It's about 2 tiers of justice in America. It's about people who can accumulate wealth and power and don't have to care about the rest of America. They have destroyed so much of this country. Income inequality is at a 60-year high. Workers' salaries are less than they have been for 75 years as a part of GDP. Somehow this country seems to be working for the rich and powerful, but it's not working for ordinary working class Americans. I say enough. It's time to begin with accountability for the Epstein class. Hold them in front of Congress, those people who visited the island or did business with Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile. Investigate them, prosecute them, and let's return to democratic accountability in the United States of America. Let's return to one system of justice in the United States of America. Let's return to a place where every American has a stake.
Ro Khanna was brilliant in terming Donald Trump and his cabinet and all the people that he protects and serves as the Epstein class, because that is what they are. And I think these redacted names are a perfect example of that. You see, the mainstream media continue to tell us that simply hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, and they don't actually tell us, they stress it, that simply hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, it doesn't necessarily mean you were a criminal, but it means you were with criminals. It means that you weren't at a party where people were wearing togas or, eating chips and guac and watching the big game. No, they were grooming and trafficking children. This was not a cocktail party. There were no pigs in blankets. They weren't kicking back at the beach and having fun. It is a disgusting narrative and is misrepresentative of the truth. These people are in an Epstein class because to protect themselves, they need to protect each other. They need to protect the narrative that the wealthy pay their fair share or that they got there because they work so much harder than you or I do. It's just not true. They have to protect a narrative about their status, and they have to protect a narrative that they aren't criminals, but they are. Everyone who associated with Jeffrey Epstein is guilty on the fact that they were trying to protect him. And Donald Trump is trying to protect those very people who did break the law, who were co-conspirators, who paid off Jeffrey Epstein. Why? Because those people will show us more about who Donald Trump is than maybe anything that's come out so far. They have the ability to tell a story and should be forced to testify before Congress about what they know. And that is what really scares Donald Trump. And that is what really scares this entire Epstein class. That the perception of the wealthy and the powerful, which already has been changed and should have a long time ago, the billionaires don't care about you, they don't care about me, they don't care about anything but accumulating power and money, and they will do whatever it takes to make that happen. They will pay off whoever they have to. They will buy whatever news outlet or social media platform it takes. But they do not care about you. They never have, and they never will. And that is what is being made very, very clear right now. The people who lick the boot of billionaires, who defend them, who say that, oh, New York, if they raise their taxes, all the rich people are going to leave. And what a crying shame that would be. The lies that we have been fed for so long are being blown up because the Epstein class is having their mask taken off. And that is what really scares them more than anything. And that is why I'm glad that Ro Khanna is using this language. I'm glad that he is describing them this way. And it's why Carolyn Leavitt wants us to move on, because Donald Trump doesn't just protect the billionaires who commit these sex crimes. He could. He protects billionaires who commit financial crimes, tax crimes, who make your life worse. That's what he's doing. That is what this administration is about. It is about protecting and serving a billionaire class. And unmasking the Epstein class goes a long way, and breaking down the narratives that they have spent billions of dollars to protect. So Ron Mandani said it about which of the billionaires was it. It's one of the tech guys who's always posting long-ass tweets. He said that he spent more money trying to beat him, trying to fund Andrew Cuomo's failed campaign, than he would have been taxed. That's what these guys do. They spend more money trying to avoid paying taxes by buying off members of Congress, buying off presidents, buying off elected officials, than they would have just paying their fair share. Actually, that's not true. The reason they spend that money is because, but you know what I mean, they spend so much to pay so little. They'll buy the Washington Post, they'll buy TikTok, they'll buy CBS. They'll spend all their money trying not to pay into a system that they have taken advantage of and broken. And I know that's a little deviation from the Epstein class, but that's what it's about fundamentally. So we need more answers. We need more accountability. We need to bring these people in and ask them questions, all of them. Someone said in a comment that I saw, Howard Lettick's nanny that Jeffrey Epstein so wanted to get in touch with, she needs to be brought before Congress. I'm sure, maybe, hopefully, she didn't do anything wrong. But we need to know everything. The redactions, the illegal redactions that we continue to see, we must keep in mind are, because Donald Trump knows that if we hear testimony from those people, it will only make us focus on this more. If they have to admit to and share their crimes, it will only bring more eyeballs. Because honestly, the media is doing everything it possibly can to not report on this story. I've said it 1,000 times. The fact that Jeffrey Epstein's descriptor is still disgraced financier, like he made a couple of bad tweets and got booted out of the bank that he was like COO of, is ridiculous. This man isn't disgraced. He's one of the worst criminals, traffickers, pedos, most notorious in American history. The language that we use has to rise to the occasion of what we're facing down. The media has failed us completely in their non-coverage of the most important story we have maybe ever seen. Donald Trump is using the full force of the federal government to protect the most powerful people in the world from being exposed for what they are. And the media doesn't care. They say, disgraced financier who was, a little controversial, we need to meet this moment. They're surely not going to. It is why independent media is so important. And it is why I'm going to ask you again, if you haven't already, to subscribe to Shift Media, a new channel that we just launched, making sure that we are growing the presence of liberal media, of progressive media online, that when people are coming to YouTube, they are seeing that video of Ro Khanna calling out the Epstein class, which you can watch right here, along with subscribing, instead of seeing, Meghan R. Kelly's defense of the pedos. That is what we need. It's why I'm trying to grow this channel. It is why I'm going to work tirelessly to build more progressive media all over the internet. That's what we have to do. I'm young enough not to sleep. All I need is a little support from you all. And you have given so much more than I ever could have imagined. And I so greatly appreciate that. But our project continues, our work continues, and if you want to support this channel too, you can always subscribe. But keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you